So we are live. If you can see me, Madam Tony, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everywhere you are. If you can hear me, can you please indicate?
I can hear you.
Mr. Julius, can you join the live feed? Good afternoon one more time, everyone. Please indicate if you can hear me. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everywhere you are. Please indicate if you can hear me, our host. Speak out, let's hear, so we'll know you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everyone joining us.
Julius, are we good to go? So our guest can start immediately.
Get it done. From this end or end? Is it from next end? Hello, Mike. Can we go on? Because it's saying that if I reclaim host, it will disrupt the meeting. Can we go on? Well, I did live on YouTube. Let me check. If the way I've gotten. Okay, there.
Okay, Madam Toyi, can you just continue? Let's just go on. This is recorded and it's live, so we can make do with it, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, good evening to everyone joining the part 2 of the protocol engagement this evening. I know it's evening right there in Nigeria. It's morning or afternoon in the North America where I'm streaming from. And it's a pleasure to be right with everyone again on this edition of part 2 of air travel protocol. Joining in from where we stopped the last time, I think the screen is coming up now. I just want us to take in the latest rules concerning flight takeoff and landing in Nigeria, just in case somebody out there isn't aware yet. Can we play it, please?
I think you can share from your end because I'm not seeing Julius here. If you can share, just go ahead and share it.
No, he's sharing already.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
He's sharing already. I can see it. Okay. So the latest rule for any air passenger in Nigeria is that all phones and electronic devices must be switched off, completely switched off. There is no flight mode permitted or allowed anymore. And your guess is as good as mine, right? Following the recent episodes that we've had in the country, I mean, NCAA had to come up with that new rule. So first and foremost, let's break into this part 2 with that awareness that when next you're boarding any airplane in Nigeria, within the Nigerian space, please switch off your phone. It's as simple as that, and it's an etiquette that we all must follow going forward. Now we're starting on today's learning what we need to remind ourselves about. And in the case of guests who are joining us, who may want to learn a thing or two, what we need to know as air passengers. So almost all the things we're going to be talking about this evening are addressing mostly air passengers, right? So, number one thing that we're focusing on is boarding denials and compensations. Boarding denials and compensations. We're still talking about air passenger regulations and rights. We all need to know what the regulations are and what our rights are in the event they are infringed upon. According to NCAA's Consumer Protection Right, it is not uncommon for airlines to request for volunteers when they want to, in the event that the flight is overbooked, right? Airlines can request for voluntary denial, boarding denial. So there should be no surprises in any way as to now cause disorderliness or rouse. If an airline official comes to say or make an announcement that says, hey, we need people to volunteer not to board. Instances like that happen, and we need to know that it is absolutely okay for them to request. Where we need to now know our rights is, are they offering compensation when that announcement is made and a passenger has offered to volunteer, because ideally compensation should follow for everyone who is willing to be denied boarding voluntarily. Please note the emphasis on that. And in the event that nobody is volunteering, then airline has the right to make some boarding factors kick in. And we have listed some of those factors. Number one, they give priority to passengers who would have medical needs. They will allow them to board first, regardless of whether anyone has been to the airport since, or maybe 4 or 5 hours prior to boarding. They will give priority and access to passengers who obviously have medical challenges or who have already indicated and informed the airline about their medical challenges. They would also give priorities to passengers who have done pre-online check-in. Pre-check-in online, rather. So most often we will get emails notification, before your flight schedule or flight date, requesting you that you can now check in online. Sometimes most people don't do this. They wait to get to the counter before they check in. There's nothing wrong with that. But in the event that an airline is overbooked, they usually will give considerations first and foremost to those who have done their check-in online. And then there's also a category of people that an airline may give priority to, and those are families with children. Children are mostly ages 5 and under. And so you will see some adults, let's not start, giving up or throwing cautions into the air. Oh, I saw when that Mr. came. I saw when that Madam came. She wasn't on the line. No, she probably had been given priority because she's with a minor, right? Also, there are some passengers that airline will also give priority to. People who, for instance, have the frequent flyer status, and people who have paid more. All the airline tickets have classes. There's the business class, there's the first class, there's the economy class. So airlines have the right to give priorities to passengers who probably have bought an higher grade of ticket. For instance, their first class passengers will be given considerations before the economy classes. So all those factors would inform in the event that an airline is overbooked and cannot accommodate everybody, on their flight. And this happens mostly with domestic, flights. Not much of the times do we see these instances, with international airlines. But of course, the process of even boarding, they follow some of these factors. And that's when you will notice at the gate for most international flights and even domestic flights, everybody will file in, but they can come and jump over the person, right in front of them when they notice there are some other people who probably are with minor or on wheelchair, So, yeah, moving on. Um, we just got talking about the boarding orderliness. Now let's talk about the disembarkment orderliness, and we're focusing on some of these regulations and the rights that we have as air passengers, just because within the last few weeks we've seen drama, and it's good to educate ourselves what to expect and what is expected of us. Now, considering disembarkment orderliness, the same, some of the factors that kick in when boarding would also kick in, right? When it is time to disembark from an aircraft, right? And in the same way, an airline may prioritize, usually when a plane lands, you will hear announcements such as, let everybody remain seated. Sometimes, and most of the times, such an announcement is coming for particular reasons. It's not just for joke. They don't want to keep anybody either. And for most routes that are busy, I can't consider Nigeria as a busy hub, right? But for most hubs that are busy, you will realize that even those aircraft can't wait to get everyone off the plane just so they can clean and meet up with the next schedule, right? So disembarkment order may prioritize persons needing medical attention. And I have personal experience here. Years ago, when I was on a flight to New York, and it was a flight that took off from Lagos, right? And there was this Nigerian guy who just slumped mid-air. We probably were about 2 hours into landing, and all medical attention was employed and what have you. But by the time we landed, record time landing, we were delayed in that flight for close to 45 minutes, if not up to an hour, because they needed to
We
get
don't want to buy vegetables. No, you don't buy.
they needed to get this passenger off the airplane before any other person would be allowed disembarkment. Right. So a tarmac delay could also necessitate disembarkment orderliness. And tarmac delay occurs when passengers are prevented from, leaving the aircraft, just as I've said, But there is a difference between a tarmac delay and a flight delay. A tarmac delay happens when an aircraft is still right on ground, but its doors are closed. Right. And there are so many instances that inform such a delay. Right. And one of them is traffic control, safety, or security reasons. It could happen, a tarmac delay could happen before takeoff and even right after landing. Right. So it's possible that passengers have been offloaded into an airplane and they're seated waiting for takeoff, but there is delay. It becomes tarmac delay when the aircraft door is already closed, but the plane is not taking off. And on landing, it's the same instance. An airplane has landed, but the doors are not open and passengers are not allowed disembarkment. And the factors that inform some of these delays are, it could be safety or security reasons, You don't know what is happening out there, right? But the crew are getting signals, so they can delay disembarkment. There's also technical operational error on, that is beyond the crew's control, that could also delay disembarkment or takeoff. And there could also be disruption. Maybe there's been someone under drug influence. Usually we're all the time many passengers on an aircraft, so you don't know what's going on with the person, maybe on RC or 70. Anybody could just be throwing tantrum anywhere, and it could be something that needs critical attention, right? So that could also delay disembarkment, or when passengers have been loaded on a plane and the plane is not taking off. But by global standards, any tarmac delays should not exceed 3 hours. Should not exceed 3 hours. So in the event that is exceeding 3 hours, airlines have the obligation to, by all means, allow passengers to get off the plane. And within those hours of tarmac delay, passengers have rights, to care and duties from airline crew, right? They have the right at least to lavatories. They have the right to food and drink for the period of the delay. I mean, at different stipulated time. A delay that is just for 30 minutes, 40 minutes may really not need much. But if it is lengthy and extended, then clear communications as to why the delay has to be given. Good ventilation has to be provided. Where the weather is humid, there should be cooling. Where the weather is cold, then there should be heating. It's different, it's vice versa, right? So just to know, just for us to know the reasons why some delays happen, so that when next we have this experience, we can at least empathize with the crew, or have a little bit of patience to take it in and understand fully what is going on, right? So we're moving on. There are the major ones that we're so used to in our climb, which are flight schedule change, delays, and cancellations. Before I even give much about these particular regulations and rights, it's good to let us know that at the point of booking our tickets, these two information they're very, very key. The phone number of passenger and the email address of passenger. The email address that will be followed to the letter, that every time there is notification, you can see. And, our principals will not be stranded, because the honest truth is air travel happens way before the flight date. It doesn't just start, travel doesn't start on the day of flight. It starts the moment a flight is booked, because communications happen concurrently. Airline can be passing any information with regards a schedule change. They can be passing information with regards cancellation. They can be passing information just regards anything. So immediately a ticket is purchased, a journey has started. It's not even until, oh, my trip is not until December. Way before December, that date, that time might have changed. And if somebody is not on top of his or her game, then you might end up getting to the airport and you realize you're just holding a paper, not a valid ticket, at least that will allow you, to board right there and then, because some information has been passed and probably missed, right? So when airlines, it is okay, or it is normal for airline to make both insignificant and significant changes. Sometimes some of those changes, they are insignificant in terms of time difference, but airline is still obliged to communicate that. And it is also our own duty to ensure that we keep abreast of this communication that is coming from, from the airline, right? Any notification with regards to domestic flights now, any notification that is coming short of 12 hours to the already scheduled time, then the airline is obliged, to compensate, because that is the stipulated by all standards. That is the stipulated hours to notify, passenger of any change for domestic flight. And for international is 14 days, right? Before the time scheduled, or alternatively, and we would have known, for those of us who are frequent, on the international route, when they're informing about a flight schedule change, either in time or date, they also offer alternatives. They don't just tell that, oh, there's a change. They give options. If you are happy with this change, you don't need to do anything. That's the language most airlines use. But if you know it won't work with your schedule, and for the purpose of this call, most of our principals, most of the people that we're dealing with are HNIs, right? So they have tight schedules. So sometimes they can't accommodate some of these changes. Then there are options. Airlines are aware and they offer options, right? So it's our duty to know what these, options are, and then we take action. We are
Hello,
proactive.
Tony.
Yes, please.
Tony, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry. Let me pause you a bit.
Okay.
This issue of what you just mentioned,
Yes,
the
please.
issue of option. The option, is it practicable in the domestic, airlines, or in the international airlines? Because in the domestic airlines, seriously, I haven't seen option. I'll give you a scenario. I had a flight that was canceled by an airline, no information, nothing. 3 days later, I had to travel to the nearby city to reroute my flight. No information, no mail. It was when I had gotten to my destination, I had to send a mail to them. You guys did this, you guys did this. And, they saw that I was serious when I started quoting the rules. That was when they started sending me mail back and front, I was ready to test the waters, go to court. So my question is it at international level that these, options are given, or at the domestic level? You are the expert here, so let's take it from there.
Good question. Good question. And my response to that would be most often, and for the purpose of this call, we're using global standards. So you would get notification when it comes to international flights. Let's settle that, right? And it's practicable to actually go for options when it comes to international flight. For domestic airlines, I'm going to be diplomatic here, and I'm going to sound this way. You've already done the right thing you should have done when you realize that your right was infringed upon and there was no communication in any way and there was no compensation. You took it up, and that is the essence of having this call, to educate ourselves of what we should do so that we can also call the airlines, the domestic airlines, to order where necessary. And we will get there. We will get to the slide where we would see that even the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority has made every provision to everybody, even the illiterate travelers. There's provision within NCAA guidelines, to know what to do when this, when these rights are infringed upon by airlines. I hope I've been able to answer your question. Okay.
Yes, you are. But my second thought, the issue of citizen education.
Right.
I don't know if it's enough because going by the NCAA guidelines, Part 19 of the 2023 regulation, makes it very, very clear that it is a duty of NCAA to educate Nigerians. So my question is, how come this education has not been there up until this maybe second quarter of 2025? How come all this while from 2003 when the laws were reviewed? What has really happened? Is it that we're not keen about educating our people because it's their primary responsibility? So how come?
I may not be able to
Yes,
speak
Tony, are you
for.
there?
Yes, I'm here. And I heard you loud and clear. I may not be able to speak for NCAA, but the little I know of, these rules have been there, and they have been made available. I think it's also the onus rests on passengers to know and to seek, right? To know how to seek for knowledge. If so, I will bring it back home. I have some of my passengers, right, who got stranded, not domestically now, on the international route. I'm not going to mention the route. And communication was ongoing, even in the middle of the night, right, between them and myself. And I said, you know what? They didn't know. And that's why I said I may not be able to speak for NCAA. They didn't know. But I knew by virtue of also being educated by NCAA. So you can see it depends on different levels of engagement, right? If an ordinary passenger may not know and may not have access to NCAA's information, but those of us who are within the practice, who are within the industry, somehow, some way, probably during forums, we have heard, we know, then we can take it and cascade this information down. So it's not just like everything in our nation. We shouldn't put everything at the feet of the government. What we're doing also is part of the citizenship education, right? So if those of us who are within the forum and the industry, we can also be the mechanism to cascade information down,
Sure.
even to the passengers.
Sure.
I hope that clears that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That means as protocol officers, we
Yes,
should be in the vanguard of citizen education and advocacy. We should be in the
absolutely.
forefront to, educate our Nigerians. It's as patriotic
Absolutely.
Nigerians, it is our responsibility. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Then, so like we're saying, airlines, they have the obligation to communicate reasons for delays to every passenger, at least 30 minutes within that delay. And again, this is practicable on the international route. I've had experiences countless times so for the international, it's going to be their domestic now. When connecting domestic airlines, or in other countries, it's a serious business. They will keep telling you. It's not like delays don't happen in these climes. They happen, but the mannerism, maybe, or the seriousness of informing passengers is quite different. And I know we're getting better at it, within our own climb. But every 30 minutes, even you will be seeing it on the screen, because there are also equipment. Different hubs have different access to information, equipment that they use to pass information to passengers. So for some hubs, right where you are seated, you are seeing the information per minute per second. They are informing you, oh, there is a delay that is happening, maybe even 15, 20 minutes ahead of time. And even when the time scheduled has lapsed, they're still coming constantly. They may tell you in another 30 minutes the flight will arrive. That flight may end up not arriving in another 30 minutes. But before the 30 minutes lapse, there's another information informing, notifying. So I think for even most air passengers, some of these delays are bearable if there is constant information, right? And so we also need to both the airlines and us passengers need to meet at a point in this regard. We should know that airlines too, let's bear with them, but airlines too have the obligation to know that informing is key. Informing is key, right? And why delays also happen, passengers have the right to care, especially when it is lengthy. They have the right to care. Refreshment, rerouting, and when it is absolutely not, it becomes clear. I think 6 hours is what is stipulated, right? If any delay happens 6 hours after the scheduled time that has been planned, then airline needs to provide accommodation. That is speaking for international airlines. They have the obligation to provide accommodation, transfer, to where your accommodation is. I understand that for most domestic airlines in our climate, there are some situations that are beyond their control, right? And in that instance, airline may not have any obligation towards the passenger. Those are some of the truth we have to, reckon with. And now that we know, we need to take in good stride and still maintain decorum in such instances. Moving on, we need to also know other rights and regulations. See, these regulations and rights are inexhaustible. That's the honest truth. We can't go through everything at a sitting or in one forum. And then they keep evolving, just like the one we started with that says when you are boarding any airline now within the Nigeria space, no more flight mode. That just came to be this August 19th to be precise. So some of these rights and regulations, they will keep, evolving. They may change, they may be adjusted. It is our duty as practitioners to, like Maoga said, to keep, educating ourselves and by extension, educating, our principals, educating the public within our space about some of these things. Some of these rights have just lifted the way NCAA has put them. One of them is, is also not uncommon for us to have name correction of names. Most often people will say, oh, airline denied me boarding because my name is not correct, on the ticket. Or so everybody, an airline is obliged to correct names if informed ahead of time, right? And there's no charge to it. I don't know if that is followed duly. I can't speak for any airline, but that is the right of passenger. They should not be charged for name change or name correction, name correction. But that also should happen within a stipulated time. So the airline business, we should also, permit me to also quickly mention, the airline business is a business of time. So we can't also always wait till last minute before we get things that need to be done. Right. So Another thing is for any correction, especially with names, at least an airline needs 48 hours. So somebody, a passenger that is going to the counter and is being denied and is being pointed at that, look, your name is wrongly, spelled, so we can't lift you, and then begins to throw tantrum. That won't be accepted. Or maybe the error has been detected, before the flight date, but the passenger chooses to wait till check-in time to say, oh, no, it's a game of time. So I have this error on my ticket. Please inform the airline ahead of your flight, schedule. Another common one that I feel is worth everyone knowing is the provision made for people with reduced mobility, people with reduced mobility or disability. The airline cannot deny, excuse me, cannot deny people with reduced mobility boarding, provided that information has been previewed, on their website. And for most international airlines, is there. They have provision for it. Even domestic airlines, even if it's not on their website, we have their email contacts. They can be informed. And sometimes, because we've had stories that, some domestic airlines denied some people with disability boarding, investigations have revealed that most often the airlines has not been informed ahead of time. Probably they would have mentioned that, sorry, for whatever equipment you want to carry on board, our aircraft cannot take it. So if my aircraft door can't take a particular medical equipment, for instance, I would probably be happy to refund. I'm not speaking for any airline, but it's just logic, and that is what is expected. Even if that ticket has been purchased, it can be refunded, because in this instance, the passenger won't be boarded. Won't be lifted. Right. So instead of throwing caution again into the head to say, oh, an airline has denied this person boarding because the person is disabled, or because this person, in such instance, let's also understand what has happened, what work has gone behind the scene to inform or pre-inform the airline, of this situation, right? And then every passenger has the right to complain to NCAA if their rights have been, their rights to either board or disembark from an airplane has been infringed upon. Every passenger, and I think NCAA has done a good job. The current management of NCAA, they've done a good job, and they're doing a good job. Number one, as citizens education, and making public email addresses, contacts, where anybody and everybody can lodge complaints. Right. That may be all we'll be able to take with regards passengers' rights and regulations. We can move on to the general, protocol and etiquette that is expected of us as air travelers or air passengers, right?
Okay, we can do that in the next 5 minutes.
Sure. Okay.
Let's do that in the next 5 minutes.
We need to, because the essence, one of the objectives of this call is we're saying we're ambassadors of our country. We're ambassadors of our country, and our country has enough burden of bad image. So we don't want travel to add to it. And travel is the soul of every and any nation. People who haven't been to a country before can know about that country when they come in contact with its people, right? So please, let's use travel. Let's be guided when we're traveling to other places, either for official duties or just for leisure. Let's just know that the best is expected of us. The best, only the best is expected of us. Let us be open to and respect immigration and border control laws. It is not what they should be begging us. It is what should be part and parcel of us as Nigerians. As citizens, we can also have the desired changes we want in our nation if we also take travel, as a serious, business, right? Thank you for having me again on this call tonight. My last comment will be, let's be intentional about using inbound travel also to change the narrative of Nigeria. It's not just only when we go out there. Let's also, with as protocol practitioners, we have some of our partners coming into our space in Nigeria. Let's use protocol, let's use etiquette, let's use travel to change the narrative. Let them experience Nigeria on a different note. Not what they've heard. Let them meet us, at home, and they know that we follow best practices. Thank you again for having me tonight.
Thank you so much, Oluwatoyin. Thank you so much. Thumbs up for you.
Okay.
The conversation is very apt. The issue of rights and responsibilities of passengers is crucial at this point of our nation's history. And from all that Tony has told us, we all need to be in the vanguard. We all need to be advocates in the citizens' education. That's the only way we can be worthy ambassadors of our country. That's the only way we can rewrite the negative narrative. We need to tell our story by ourselves. We don't want anybody to tell our story for us. Let us tell our story and tell it in the positive way as practitioners, as protocol officers, as members in the air travel industry. So thank you so much, Tony. I would say let's all work together for an enviable air travel industry. It behoves on you and I to make that work. And then we had a part 2 of the travel protocol, and a lot has been said. And this conversation will continue. It must continue because a lot of things are evolving. A lot of things are coming up. And as a nation, we're beginning to get to where we know our rights and our responsibilities. So thank you so much, Tony, once again, for doing justice to this program. We sincerely greet you for the amazing presentation that you have given to our participants and viewers. If there are comments, there are reactions, there are questions, Tony is ready to take them now. In the next 5 minutes, we'll take questions and we'll be rounding up. But I want to sincerely apologize for the earlier hiccups, technical issues that made us not to start at 7 p.m. on the dot. We sincerely apologize. So the floor is open. Send in your questions. If there are questions, let's take them. Bimbo, are you here? Bimbo, are you here? Hello, Mike.
I'm here.
Let's get your thoughts. Give a vote of thanks to our guests. Your closing thoughts, please.
Wow, what a great presentation. What an awesome night and knowledge that is shared. As a practitioner, you don't claim to know it all. When you have opportunities like this, you learn a lot. So I want to use this opportunity to thank our resource person. She's done justice to this topic. Thank God this is on YouTube. We can go back and replay to refresh our memory on all the knowledge that has been shared tonight. Now, I want to candidly advise protocol practitioners, especially those of us that are practitioners who are daily on the field. Smartness does not mean you break the law. It is not until you break the law that you are smart or you are agile. Now, that is why this protocol roundtable is on to educate us. Madam Oluwatoyin has told us some critical things that we need to know, which we need to inform our hosts, inform our principals on some of the rights and obligations. For instance, is arguably a statement to make that it is protocol officers that also encourage their principals in indulging some of the things that you see happens. For instance, you go to the airport, everybody is queuing, a protocol officer takes his principal to the front line and must have tipped the airline personnel to do a first body.
Sure.
Now, we want to discourage acts like that. So I would have loved to ask our resource person, what is the best approach to issues like that where, as a protocol officer, you need to be seen to be working. Your principal need to know that you are working. When you get to the airport, everybody is boarding. You want to board an international flight. There are one or two things you could do to fast track your principal. Your principal will now know that this person is working. So will it be wrong if I beat the line for my principal to board on time? I will put that question to her why I could just do the vote of thanks in between. Thank you, ma.
Okay. So, Tony, just get ready.
Should I give a response to that?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, just go ahead. Respond.
Oh, to be honest, I'm sure you know the response to that already. You know the answer to that, and that's the essence we're having this roundtable, right? That's the essence we're educating ourselves every time. Once we are fully educated, then we can take this to our principal. Our principal just need to see us working, but we also need to let them know that part of working is doing things right. And that's what we're doing as protocol officer. No principal will want to see us working and go into a hospital, for instance, and remove an oxygen, you know, that is already connected. And we're saying, oh, I need my principal to see me working. We need to also let them know. We need to educate them. They can't be educated. No one is above, education. We are all learning. We can all learn, unlearn, and relearn. We understand the system where we're in, but we're saying no more. If this has been the practice before, we're talking about best practices now. What our principal, and we can even ask them, if you were to be outside the shores of Nigeria, are we going to be able to do this? Or are we going to be able to prove to you that we are working by tipping for you to jump the queue? No, please, it's best practices we're talking about. And I know it's doable and everybody can align.
Sure, it's doable. It's doable. We'll get there. It's doable. In addition to what you've said, I think as protocol officers, we need to be competent. We need to know the rules. If you are not competent, you can't even advise your principal, you know. Principals need to be teachable because nobody knows everything. You need to be teachable so that we'll continue to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So the roundtable will continue to engage ourselves, engage practitioners, and engage the general public on the best industry practice. As protocol officers in this 21st century, we must we must have the best industry practice. And by that way, even the principals will respect us because they know that we know what we are saying and what we are doing. So thank you so much. Mike, can you come on board and let's take the vote of thanks.
Okay, thank you, moderator, director of learning and development. Thank you so much for putting this together. We can't thank our facilitator enough. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your wealth of experience. I also want to thank everyone who joined tonight, director of membership, and every other awesome fellow that joined in making this happen. We want to say thank you. We look forward to a new version and also use the opportunity to quickly remind us of our coming Congress. It's November 13th and 14th. Please book your calendar. November 13th and 14th is the Congress. For those who needs to prepare down, please prepare. Especially those coming from outside town. Start booking your flight and your hotel. With the things you have learned tonight, it will help you in booking your flight easily so that you don't miss your flight. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to those who could not also join that will go through this slide again at some point. We appreciate you. God bless everyone. Thank you, sir.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Thank you
night.
for having me again.
Good night.
Okay, thank you so much. You've heard our national conference is coming up on the 13th and 14th of November in Lagos, and it will be a gathering of all protocol officers all over Nigeria, both from the public and then private sector. Patricia Kenneth Divine, thank you so much for being part of this program. And all that have joined us, thank you so much. We will see you again come September for another wonderful and amazing edition. Thank you so much. Good night and God bless us all.
Good night.